Welcome to Best Life 30, your 30-day journey to creating the best life possible for yourself. You can just watch this video or can sign up for free and get the bonus companion worksheets that go along with each video by checking the link down in the description below. All right, today is day 28 and we're gonna learn how to be a better leader.
I've spent so much of the past 20 years of my life evangelizing a message that leadership is not about a title, leadership is not about the size of your office, leadership is not about having formal authority, leadership is a mindset, leadership is a way of operating through your days, leadership is a heart set, leadership is a way of being. And I think, we're now in Leadership 2.0. The old model of leadership said you need to have a lot of money, or you need to be a prime minister or a president. You need to be a CEO or a managing director in order to be a leader. Leadership 2.0 is fundamentally different. Leadership 2.0 simply says, if you can breathe, if you are alive, you not only have the opportunity, you have the responsibility to show leadership, not only in your work, not only in your creativity, not only in your impact, not only in your influence, but even in your personal life. And so what I want to do in this mastery session, I'm thrilled that you're here with me today. So let's get right to the first tactic for you to be an even better leader. Install the lead without a title mindset. And again, that's just a way of thinking. It's an approach. So what I'm really suggesting is no matter what you do, no matter what your station in life is, start thinking like a leader, because you really have a choice when you go out in the world every day. You can be a victim or you can be a leader, but you can't do both. And so the more you practice showing leadership in your work, showing leadership with your family, showing leadership in your community, showing leadership in your private self, practice drives performance. And the more you practice it, the more you start to step into the mindset of a leader without a title. Number two, the best leaders on the planet grow other leaders. So if you're not growing leaders faster than your peers, you're not leading, you're following. I'm going to repeat that again. The job of the leader is to grow more leaders. So yes, do your work. Yes, become more creative. Yes, innovate. Yes, optimize your personal life. And yet at the same time, make the time to develop leaders around you. What that might look like at the office, celebrating a teammate. At the office, that might look like modeling mastery. At the office, it might look like collaborating with someone who needs some collaboration. At home, what does growing leaders look like? Well, it might be mentoring your children, exposing them to art, giving them great books. It might mean being a positive force in your home life. So the job of the leader is to grow more leaders.
One of the keys to Apple is Apple's an incredibly collaborative company. And so, you know how many committees we have at Apple?
No.
0. We have no committees.
No committees.
We are organized like a startup. One person's in charge of iPhone OS software. One person's in charge of Mac hardware. One person's in charge of iPhone hardware engineering. Another person's in charge of worldwide marketing. Another person's in charge of operations. We're organized like a startup. We're the biggest startup on the planet. And we all meet for 3 hours once a week, and we talk about everything we're doing, the whole business. And there's tremendous teamwork at the top of the company, which filters down to tremendous teamwork throughout the company. And teamwork is dependent on trusting the other folks to come through with their part without watching them all the time, but trusting that they're going to come through with their parts. And that's what we do really well. And we're great at figuring out how to divide things up into these great teams that we have and all work on the same thing, touch bases frequently, and bring it all together into a product. We do that really well. And so what I do all day is meet with teams of people and work on ideas and solve problems to make new products, to make new marketing programs, whatever it is.
And are people willing to tell you you're wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, other than snarky journalists. I mean, people that work for you.
No, we have wonderful arguments.
And do you win them all, or?
Oh, no, I wish I did. No, see, you can't. If you want to hire great people and have them stay working for you, you have to let them make a lot of decisions, and you have to be run by ideas, not hierarchy. The best ideas have to win.
So,
otherwise, good people don't stay.
How can we harness the hustle gene? How can we pass on the hustle gene
You can't.
to our company and to how can we instill this?
You can't. You can't. What you can do is you can hustle, and then people will either ride up to it or run away from it. Like, you know, I don't judge my people. First of all, nobody that works for you should hustle as hard as you. Period. You want somebody to hustle as hard as you that works for you? Give them the same economics you're taking home. That's the truth. Number two, with kids, rich kids aren't gonna care as much as you about money because you didn't have any, and so you had to fight for it, and then that's just real. So I think I set the tone for my company. Some people rise up, some people find their work-life balance, some people bounce. I'm not in the game of thinking that's important. If I feel good about what I'm paying somebody for what I'm getting in return, I don't need to judge that they need to work harder, so I don't want to get a deal for my people. Do you understand? I want my people to be on my team, not me getting more value out of them. It's a huge mistake of business owners.
My number one belief about leadership is you're a servant. Here's what I mean specifically. The word hero, that is in the archetype of like men and you and I bet. Is it true that inside of you really want to be the best? You want to create the best, share the best, do the best? Is that a metaphor for you in your life?
Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. So I think people in this room tend to have that as their metaphor. So all of us at some level, man or woman wants to be a hero. The word hero in its Latin root means servo. Servo means servant. It actually means slave. The hero, why they're the hero is become the ultimate servant to something larger than themselves, people and so forth. The person who thinks they're going to lead by demand or by position can only lead for a short period of time. But the person whose idea of serving is, my belief is, if you can find a way to take any group of people and help them to experience their needs at a richer, deeper level than anyone else, then together you guys can get anything done. Anything. Now, it may not work the first time, but together you can get to that point. Because needs are ultimately what we're after. We're not after the vehicle we think we're after. You want $1 billion, then you get it. I got plenty of clients, and I will tell you, it is not the end game. And so then they go after their second billion. Or you think it's getting married, and then you get it, and you find out it's not the end game. There's certain needs that have to be there, and the ultimate needs are growing and giving. Because you only can feel so good filled up by yourself. So my core belief is, I gotta serve. If I serve, I can lead. Because I believe motive does matter. If my motive is just to get you to do something for me, there's a certain amount of power that I can get to do that if I strategize, if I think, if I feel, and also if it serves a greater good, even if I don't intend it. If the bumblebee goes to try to get the nectar it wants, its selfish goal, I believe there's a higher power that guides it all. And when that bumblebee goes, it doesn't intend to give anything but pollen sticks to its legs. As it goes about trying to get what it wants, that's how flowers are created. I really believe that everything has a web of connection. If your intent is to serve yourself, you're still going to serve something more than yourself, and you're going to get a certain amount of insight. If your intent and your motive is to serve something, yourself, but also something more, just your kids, then I believe you get a different level of insight. And because you're serving more of what serves life. It's not just me. It's me and my family. If you're trying to serve a community, I believe you get a different level of insight. If you're trying to serve humanity, you get a different level of insight. I get emotional thinking about it because this is why I do what I do. So when someone stands up, it's not about business, it's not about anything, but about serving them. So I will use abrasive or creative language. I'll use whatever it takes, humor, stupidity, I'll make fun of myself, I'll challenge, I'll do anything to serve. That's why I'm here. I don't need to do that anymore, but I love to see someone free and alive and lit up. So when that's your motive, no matter how people perceive you on the outside, if they're around you long enough, you can't hide what your real motive is. And they'll see it and they'll feel it. Motive does matter. If it's to serve something higher, it'll be that. That doesn't mean you don't get served too. And in business, you gotta be served. Or I used to do business and I lose money in the business and everybody else was happy. And it was wonderful, except I had no business. So it's, killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. So I've learned to put that balance in. But that gives me power. That's why time disappears for me, because I'm not about getting some action done. I'm about the outcome.
My first job out of college, I had a boss who believed it was appropriate to berate people to get the most out of them. And I remember, this is a true story, I actually sat down with her. We used to have these sort of monthly career updates, and she literally said to me, "You have no talent," quote unquote. And I went, "None?" And she said, "None," And the good news was I thought that was funny. Because you can't have none. Like if you told me I only could do one thing, that actually probably would have hurt more, but nothing, nothing. And so I really paid attention as to how she managed, and the rest of my career did the complete opposite. So, yeah.
Give me an example.
I think that pointing out people's strengths is a lot better than telling them they have no talent. Also, she had this belief that if you don't look harried and insane, then you're not working hard. So I remember pretending that I was like stressed out, because if I sauntered down the hallway and said hi to people, she thought I was doing nothing.
Right.
So I started pretending. It's like, I can't talk. And that way she thought I was very busy and she left me alone. Yeah, honesty in management, treating people with respect, being honest about what they can and can't do, and committing yourself to helping people, not hurting people or pushing them down, has been more effective for me.
Sometimes at work, it's not what's happening at work for a lot of stressed out managers, especially. It's what's happening outside of work. How do you try to figure out where the sources of the issue, maybe to cut past some of the challenges you face communicating?
When I was entry level, having empathy for my boss didn't factor in, not knowing anything about sort of my place in the company, et cetera. But as I've grown up, I realized that the only motivation for any kind of confrontation, whether you're the one who's confronting someone because you feel that they have done something wrong, or whether you're confronting them because you feel that you've been wronged, the only motivation is empathy. And so even if someone is coming down on me hard or being unreasonable or being, I'm not perfect at it, but I've worked really hard to approach it with confronting them that they've hurt me or so I feel wronged, but immediately go into considering that maybe there's something that's bothering them. And that has proved to be really helpful. And we do it in life. I mean, for example, somebody sitting next to you on the subway is, slouched back, their legs open, and your immediate sort of reaction is to think, what an ass, But the idea of practicing and say, well, maybe he had a hard day yesterday, and he's exhausted and he just doesn't want to deal, Maybe he doesn't want to talk to people, Right. And so to really just sort of have empathy for the world around you, it's kind of powerful, and people respond to you a lot better as well, because basically everybody wants to feel safe. And so if you have empathy, you give that to people, up or down the chain of command. I mean, we as employees want to feel safe, and it is our boss's responsibility to give us that. But at the same time, bosses want to feel safe. They don't want to feel that there's insurrection, that's brewing. And for us to let them know that we've got their back as much as we want them to let us know that they have ours is equally as important. And I believe there is responsibility of a manager, but there's a responsibility of an employee as well.
That's right.
It's like the kids have to do chores at home. It's the kind of same thing. It's like it takes all of us.
Yeah.
The hierarchy doesn't mean that only the guys above are the ones with responsibility. We all have to contribute.
It's not that we need more female leaders. It's that we need more leaders to act like females. Women just happen to be better at that. Traditionally male characteristics like aggression or decisiveness is only one part of leadership. But there are traditionally feminine or female characteristics like patience, like caring, like maternal instinct, that are extremely important, if not essential, to good leadership. So the problem in America today, if not the world, is we have lopsided leadership. We put too much emphasis on male leadership, and we need to balance it off. And the best leaders, whether they're male or female, embody patience and calm and caring, and that motherly instinct or fatherly instinct, like, you know, that parenting instinct. And so we need it more balanced. So absolutely, we need more female leaders, but we need them to act like females. We don't want them to act like men. I don't want women who are decisive and aggressive. I want women who are caring and patient and all of that good stuff. I want men like that too. So yes, we definitely need more female leadership.
What did you know and learn at the end of your career that you wish you knew at the beginning?
Understanding empathy and compassion. Right? Because as a young kid, when I came in the league, it was like, I'm driving this way, and either you're going to be on the train or be on the track. Right? There was no such thing as understanding that people have lives outside of the game, which you know, apparently I did not. But like if I understood that at an early age, then it helps me as a leader to communicate better. I came to understand that later, and getting to know people on a personal level. What are their fears? What are their insecurities? Right? What are their dreams and ambitions, desires, those sorts of things. When you come to understand that about a person, then you can help them reach the best version of themselves. So I wish I'd known that earlier.
I want people that I mentor to do better than me. So if you're in this thing where like that you want people to do well around you, but you need to do better than them, you're really not leading people. So leadership is really simple. Here's how you lead somebody. Every human being, just even like what you're just describing yourself, is born with their natural giftedness. If you're a person of faith, I believe it was sown into you. But if you could just call it your talent if you don't have faith. So, for example, it could be your ability to communicate, your heart, your spirit, your nurturing skills, your engineering skills, your math skills, your discipline, right? Your whatever it is. You were born with natural giftedness. Here's what a great leader does, and you'll be one of the rarest people on earth if you can do this for people. Just get quiet and observe people as a leader. And when you can identify what someone's 2 or 3 natural gifts are, and they're things they know intuitively to be true about themselves, and you link that gift to them achieving, you've built a leader. So if I said to you, it's your natural heart to serve people, brother. It's your unbelievable ability to communicate. It's your mom and her background in your ear that whole time supporting you, giving you link, that's what you're going to change the world. And you go, I do have a great mom. I do have a heart to serve. I do have a big spirit. And you link that to them, boom. Because here's the truth in life. Those of you that are listening, on one hand, if you're lucky, probably there's 1 or 2 fingers, you can count the person who that when you were a little boy or a little girl made you feel special. Knew you were special. Remember them? Just picture their face right now. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe it's your mother or a coach or your grandpa or an uncle or an auntie. And that's the one when you were a little boy or girl, they made you feel special. They knew you were different. They knew you were unique. They saw your blessings. They saw your gifts. Maybe you got one in your life. And when you picture their face, whether they've passed away or are still living, you get emotional. You can picture the times they made you feel that way, can't you? Right? Okay. If you're a great leader, you end up on that hand of thousands of people. So in my life, I want to be that person, one of them they picture. In my life, Ed Milet was this guy who saw how special I was. He saw my gifts. He saw my blessings. He told me over and over again how blessed and gifted I am. And he'd link that to me winning. It wasn't some rah-rah, you're going to do great, man, you're a champion, go, go, go. No. It was deep. He would touch me in my spirit. He found my gift and my blessing. And when you're that person, you will be on the hands of someone in their life, 1 or 2 places, 3 places of their entire life. That's what a great leader does.
What's your philosophy when it comes to human resources? How do you get the right people? And then how do you keep the right people?
It's the most important part of business. You know, that's why I went to military school. Then I was a Marine Corps. The reason when I talk to military veterans, you probably have the most important skill of all. Because all we're trained to do, whether you're a general or a private, you're taught to be leaders. It is a number 1 skill of an entrepreneur is people skills and leadership skills. And unfortunately, most people don't have it coming into. So when I do my talks to veterans and all this stuff, I really want to encourage them, because they're pretty depressed because they can't get it. They're a Walmart greeter, which is a good job, but they're afraid to take the leap into entrepreneurship. So, but military guys, I don't care what branch of service, just by the indoctrination process and the survival rate, whether you go to combat or not, is that you learn leadership skills, people skills. You've got to have that. Whether you're a team of 1, you still have to deal with your customers, and the good customers, bad customers, lawsuits, taxes, government regulations and all this. They're all people skills. So when somebody says to me, what do I need to learn? I said, boy, you better learn how to communicate pretty quickly to people you don't like and get them on your side. How to win friends and influence people. Basic book. The number one skill of an entrepreneur is people skills.
You know who you have control over? You. You don't have control. You don't have control over your 9-year-old kid. You might think you do, but you don't. You don't have control over your wife to just make her, get in the game. Yeah. Oh, you want to stay on the program. You want to cook, 14 chicken breasts on a Sunday night. So you got 2 a day during the week. Honey, make it happen. No, honey, don't make that happen. If you are a good leader and you explain what your goals are and you get her on board with the program, then yeah. Guess what she's doing on Sunday night? Helping you cook some chicken breasts for the week. Yeah. But this is just like anything else, man. This is just like any other leadership situation. You want to blame the team when something's going wrong? That's not going to get you a solution. Yeah. You need to take ownership of the problem. You need to get the problem solved. And when I say get the problem solved, this doesn't mean impose your will on the team. That means you need to lead the team. Yeah. And there's a big difference.
What are some of the telltales that you have seen over your years that tell you this person isn't right? I have to let her or him go.
That's a good question, and I'll answer it with an analogy of fact. I carry 2 phones with me. This small one is only known by my family and very, very close friends. And when it rings, I'll always answer it because it has to do with something going on with my kids or my family or my brother or whatever. This phone, this larger one, probably 10,000 people have this number. I'm a believer that if you are an entrepreneur or a major shareholder of a company, every single customer should know if they have a problem who they can call. And when I say this concept of access, in other words, many managers think, well, if I give my number out to my employees, they may call me. and the truth is, you want to hear from them. You want to hear the bad news first. And what I found is the more people I give this number to, the less it rings. I tell them simply, look, I want you to have this access because I respect you, and I want you to know that you can come to me. And in that trust, I find that most people never use it. This thing does not ring as much as my family phone does. But when it rings, it's a big deal. And the reason I know it's time to terminate somebody in one of my companies is when my customers and my shareholders call me 3 times about that person. Mm-hmm. It's always the same. Mm-hmm. It's always the same. When a customer's complaining about a CEO or a head of sales or the head of R&D, or employees are not happy, and I keep getting that phone call, I get on the plane and I get my whacking stick out. Because there's something wrong.
So leadership is not about personality. Sure, in fact, some of the greatest leaders we studied had a charisma bypass. And we should never confuse charisma with leadership. They're very, very different ideas. Some of them are even odd and eccentric. One of the great chief executives of the last 30 years is Herb Kelleher of Southwest Airlines. He solves a trademark dispute with an arm wrestling contest. It's just not normal. He would talk about wearing a flowered hat and a feathered boa around the office. Just strange. Okay? So it's not personality. The key to the great leaders that we studied was their humility. But it was humility of a very special type. It wasn't humility in a weak sense. It was, in fact, just the opposite. It was what I would describe as an absolute, obsessed, burning, compulsive ambition